Alright, welcome back everybody. This is episode 3 of Dwarf Fortresses from Embark to Fortress series I've been working on. In this episode we're going to be working our way down from the surface into the actual mountain itself and start building ourselves our actual fortress instead of sleeping in a little dormitory up here and having to deal with the sun and all the outside weather. Last episode we had just finished setting up everything up here. We had gotten all of our furniture and things laid out. We've got beds for every single dwarf we had at the time. We did just get a new influx of migrants coming in, so now we are up at 20 for our population. Oh, hold on one second here. Anyways, we had just finished setting up all of our furniture. We had beds laid out for every dwarf. We had set down some tables and chairs so they could sit and eat and drink in the new inn and tavern we had set up here. Socialize a little bit. We had placed down some storages for our mugs and things like that. And now we're going to start working our way down into the mountain. I have actually set up a bit of a blueprint, basically. So what we're going to do is I have laid out a general build for what I have in mind to start with for this fortress. And you'll notice that I've got little sections here that are not connected. That is to prevent our dwarves from coming down here and just mining out everything I've already laid out. This was basically just me kind of planning ahead of time. I've got all of our bedrooms and things set up for down here. If you'll notice, these are connected. So the first things where dwarves are going to do when I unpause this is come down here, mine out this staircase area. They're going to mine down these passageways, these set of bedrooms, and this large room here. This is going to be our new inn and tavern. I've also got a little space up here where we can put our still and our kitchen and some storage area for food and drink directly connected to the inn. I left space over here in case we want to add some rooms, make it kind of like a hotel or a motel. They'll be able to come down, stay in these rooms over here if we decide to add any. And that's basically what we needed immediately. First things first, we definitely need to have our inn and tavern. We need a place for them to come down to eat and drink at. We'll have to make some furniture for that. And they need bedrooms. So these are the most important things. We've got that laid out now and ready to go. So let's come back up to the surface. I'm actually going to jump over here and we're going to start making some furniture and stuff. So we'll have it ready when we start moving down. So for the carpenter, I'm going to jump in here. We're going to want to we'll just do another 10 beds. We can move the ones that we have up here down, but I also want to have some excess. We're going to need more anyways since we now have a population of 20. So we'll just make 10 beds out of that. Again, we're trying to make as little things with wood as possible, so I'm going to switch to the stone workers workshop instead. And we're going to come in here and do... First things first, we'll need tables and thrones. So we can have that set up. We've got, what, 4, 8, 10. Let's do 15 of both. That gives us a little bit of excess. Some things we're going to want to have in more than one room, so that's not a bad idea. And let's go to our craft dwarf and down to rock. Why don't we make some storage containers so we can start putting some of our things that we have over in our actual storage spots here into condensed containers, like barrels or boxes and things. You can stack smaller items inside of them, so instead of them taking up a whole space on the floor, they'll all be inside of like a little crate like this. Makes it a lot easier to move things around. If you have like cut gems, for instance, and I want to trade them, I can take a box with multiple cut gems to the trading route instead of just one at a time. It also takes up significantly less space for your storages. There is a little thing known as quantum storage for Dwarf Fortress, and that's basically the idea of just putting things into other things to store as many things in as small of a space as possible. It is very efficient, and it will come in handy. When we move back down in the mountain, I'll show how large some of our storage areas are, and that's just because without storage boxes and things, you will tend to fill up a very large area with resources. It can get overwhelming, actually, so I do recommend using some storages at least. So we want We're going to need some more jugs. We'll probably make some pots. And that'll probably be it for right this second, other than maybe making some more mugs, because we'll need those as well. So let's do jug, rock pot, and nope, rock mugs. So we'll do 10 jugs is plenty, 10 pots is plenty. For mugs, let's do another 20 mugs. Now while we let those guys get that stuff built, let's get ourselves started on mining this area out. And I also wanted to just plant one little tiny field just to kind of showcase how the farming works. This is going to be pulled up once we get far enough down in the mountain. We're actually going to be looking for the cavern layer fairly soon. And once we find that, we'll move our farming and our water supply and all that stuff inside the mountain down to the cavern layer. For now, though, we are still using the exterior of the mountain, so let's go ahead and set up one little farm plot. And I'm going to put it pretty close to the gate here. I don't want our farmer to have to travel too far, so let's do something like that. That's actually a pretty large farm plot, honestly, especially for only 20 dwarves. So let's unpause this, let these guys do some of their stuff here for a moment. Let them fill this area out. And they are starting to mine down here already. So that's nice. We have the first little chunk of this going. As soon as we get the bedrooms and stuff done, we'll start moving our beds from upstairs down here and into their rooms. And then we'll start moving the tables and chairs and stuff into the dining hall when that's ready. Once all of this is finished out, then we'll slowly add new areas to mine out as we progress. This area over here is all of our storages. And for instance, this one is fairly large. This is just going to be for raw stones. That we're just going to have so many, it's going to fill up all of this, and we're still going to have stones laying around all over the place. I have this connected one behind it, so the stones that we turn into blocks can be stored in a separate one. You can have one massive, all-inclusive storage area if you want, or you can do a ton of tiny ones and be very specific about what you store in there. Once we get this area mined out a little bit, I will break down how the storage areas work exactly and how you can be specific on what you want in them. You can, in theory, basically make a storage area for every individual item in the game. So I could have one storage area that only holds gabbro rock, if I wanted. So you could really break this down into tiny little squares, do like 5x5 square that only holds gabbro, 5 by side that only holds schist, or whatever else, however you want to do it. I prefer to do somewhat organized, but not quite to that extent. That just gets to be a little bit of a pain to even keep organized. Plus, then you're also looking at like 700 different storage areas you'll have to bounce between. For a major one like this, I'm going to have all of the rocks in one area, all of the stone blocks in one area. This is for wood. Here, we're going to have our carpenter shop, so it'll be wood, and then like some random furniture stuff on this side that we're going to use. I've got, or no, actually, I'm going to probably do, I'll probably make this one gem cutter. So it'll be uncut gems, cut gems, and then I'll probably do wood here and furniture there, just because it's a little bit larger. And we'll actually have a fair amount of furniture in storage normally, so. While they're doing that stuff still, our plot is now done. So if we come into here, we can see exactly what we can plant. Right now we have 113 seeds, but it would seem like none of our seeds can be planted outside. So that really did nothing for us, unfortunately. If you get some actual like fruits and vegetable seeds, you can grow them exterior. Most of our seeds must be like cave root and like plum helmets and stuff like that, which can only be grown inside. So once we get down to the cavern layer and set up a little farm plot, we'll be able to use our seeds for that area. I'm surprised that we actually don't have any fruit or vegetable seeds, but that's okay. What we do have is some yellow sand, and we also have, is that gravel? Oh, it looks like we might just have sand. I was kind of looking to see if we had any clay laying around as well. but it doesn't look like it. That's okay. Maybe we'll find some browsing around in a little bit. Sand, though, sand is super cool. We can actually use that to make glass and windows and decorative stuff. It's actually pretty neat. We'll be definitely using that at some point in time. How is our furniture and stuff coming along? Oops, not the kitchen. So our carpenter's done. Our stoneworker's about halfway through. We're close to halfway through the craft dwarfs as well. That's all going very well. There we go. They're basically done mining out the dining hall, or the inn and tavern. So let's go ahead and start putting down some furniture. Why don't we go... We'll put the food, or the eating and drinking over here. I forgot that since we left and came back, I no longer have this tagged. So make sure you do that, just to save yourself having to open this menu 10 times in a row. We got, what, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're actually also going to set up another row over here as soon as we get some more tables built. Now, this seems like it's a very large area, and it is. You can obviously expand as needed. Instead of doing what I'm doing here, I'm kind of future-proofing most of this. Even with like the bedrooms and stuff, 5x5 is a large bedroom for a dwarf. But the idea is I'll be able to put everything in the bedroom that they would naturally need. I can make it look fancy. It'll make all the dwarves happier. I also won't have to move them into larger rooms later on, unless they become a noble. These massive rooms over here are for that. Nobles will begin to require pretty excessive amounts of space and quality for their goods as they get promoted. So right now, we just have a simple chair for our noble, and that's enough. But at some point in time, he's going to want a large office, he's going to want a huge bedroom, he's going to want his own crypt, basically. So we have them all set up over here. I've got a very large office area that can be split into a couple of things as needed. I can do an office area, I can even give him his own private dining area in here. Bedroom, and a crypt. And I made 2 of them so far. We'll probably end up having to make like 4 or 5 of those. But again, future-proofing this is large enough to where I can basically do everything they'll require, even at the highest rank, in one room without having to change it. Same thing with the inn. Right now we only have 20 population. That's literally only one more row of tables here, and that can feed everybody. But at some point, we're going to have a lot more people. So I'd like to have enough space for like 50 or 60 tables and chairs, with still enough room up here to entertain themselves, dance, sing, and all that. Storage space, instrument space, entertainer space, all that stuff. So it doesn't hurt if you want to take your time and do real small rooms and then upgrade as you need. Or if you want to do it this way, I just find this more efficient, so I don't have to come back later and readjust everything I've already done once. Start setting out some beds. Just like so. We're also going to have to make a bunch of doors. Speaking of which, we should actually check how far along these guys are coming. These are just about done, so why don't we go ahead and actually throw a stack of doors on there. We're going to make like 30 doors. We're going to need a lot of doors. So let them finish all what they're doing. Come back down here. These guys are actually mining real fast. This is coming pretty quickly. Once we get enough beds and tables and chairs put down here, we can actually start pulling the ones up from upstairs and having the dwarves slowly move themselves down to here. And once we get all of this area done, we'll open up our first crafting and storage area to be mined out, so that way we can start moving our resources from upstairs to down here as well. Coming along pretty well. Oh, we've got some notifications here. So, let's see. That is our liaison last time. Bunch of canceled stuff. That was the merchants coming and going. Random animal stuff. Finished all that. Migrants. Okay, so this is new things that we've been mining. We got some native platinum. That is awesome. Native gold, also awesome. So we'll have a fair amount of gems this time around to trade. Once we get down here and get our gem cutter going, we can start actually cutting and polishing gems, which will make them worth more when we trade them. And we can actually start making things out of ore. Since we've got like native platinum and gold, we can start making fancy statues and furniture and things, making our dwarves even happier because they'll be able to use some really nice stuff. So that's cool. We have a bunch of masterpieces that have been created. Some mugs, jugs, pots, a bed. We should actually do that. Since it's been a little while and we've gotten a bunch of new migrants that have moved in, don't forget to come back to this menu every once in a while where your work details are and reassign your dwarves, because right now the only dwarves we have actually set to do a specific tasks are the ones that we started with, which was only 7, so we've gained 13 additional dwarves that we haven't actually told to do anything. So they've been just kind of doing whatever they want. That's, not a problem, but there's a few things we could be having them do instead. Like this guy here, we've got stone worker, stone crafter, engraver, gem cutters and stuff like that, jewelers. We can be having, let's do stone worker and an engraver. We'll add those to the mining list. We're going to go to stone cutters, do that, and we might as well have him do it too because we're going to have him do engraving. Just like so. We might actually take those two off of engraving. The reason that we do this is because when you do engraving, it takes a long time, and if you have every single one of your miners set to also engrave, if you're trying to do any mining at all inside of your fortress while also engraving, they will be constantly at odds with which job they want to do. At one point in time, you might have nobody doing any mining, and they might all be engraving instead. By having them split, this means that these 2 guys at least will continue to mine while these other 3 guys do all the engraving. That way there's nobody or no job that's not being done. I recommend never really worrying about haulers. Don't bother with that. People will just do it as needed. Orderlies, the only time you really need this is once you get a hospital set up, and if you have a dwarf that actually has some skills in it, I recommend setting that right away. Plant gatherer, we've only got 1. Why don't we make this peasant an extra plant gatherer? Jesus. Fisher dwarves. Got 1 of them. I don't really think we specifically need another one. We seem to be doing more than fine on food, so I'm not going to worry about that. Planter, we don't even have anywhere for them to plant yet. But I'll go ahead and just throw, like, this weaver, for instance. I'll give him the chance for planting as well, just in case we need them later. I don't have a single person as a hunter, so we're going to set our stonecrafter here, since he's a novice ambusher, as one. And that should be good enough. 1 more woodcrafter too, or woodcutter. There, now everybody's got at least somewhat of a job. Now, go back to there. This will also get us a couple extra people to help with the mining. Oh, look, we've got a visitor. Human poet. Stoneworker has been possessed. So, I'm going to pause this real quick again. What this means is that your stoneworker is going to take over one of your craft stations. He's a stoneworker, so most likely it will be a stone crafter station. And he'll make something. As long as you have the required materials laying around for him to create it with, he will go over, take over that station, and make some random object. He will become happy being allowed to do so if he can actually create it, and usually that is like a masterwork or something like that. He'll make something very nice. The downside to this is if you do not have the crafting station that they want or materials they need to build with, it will actually make them mad. They'll lose their happiness and become upset with you. So it's not a bad idea to have a secondary set of crafting stations for the like real common ones: stonecrafter, carpenter. Uh, well, here, let's just go through the list quick. Carpenter, stonecrafter, these two are the big ones for sure. Crafts dwarf, probably not a bad idea to have one of those extra as well. Metalsmith is another one. That kind of thing where they're producing something, it's a good idea to have a secondary one available just in case one of your dwarves does go mad. And eventually, at some point, you might even want to have 3 or 4. You know, if you're going to focus on doing armor and weapons production, and that's how you make your money and how you arm all your dwarves, you want to have like a Sparta population, you might have 2 or 3 smelters going and like 4 metalsmiths just crafting weapons day in and day out, you know. It really depends on what you want to do. But as I said, you'll likely find yourself having an additional crafting station anyways for the real common ones. And sometimes you almost need them. If you have like 200 dwarves in here, you might want to have 2 or 3 crafting stations just because you might need to make so many of one thing in such a short window of time. One's just not going to cut it. To start with, though, we're literally just going to do 1 of each. We don't have that many dwarves, and if they go insane, we'll have the crafting stations that they'll most likely need available for them anyways, so it'll be alright. We need some more food storage. There we go. Urist Laskatten, stoneworker, has created Stristrush Imesh, an obsidian earring. He claims it as a family heirloom. Cool. Obsidian is really cool looking too, so that's awesome. Our pots have been done. Some black pyrope. And we need more storage areas for that. That's alright. We are in good condition right now, good shape. These guys are basically done with all the mining, so let's zoom in a bit here, and let's finish laying out some more of this stuff. Bunch of tables, some more chairs for them. All right. So there's that. We need to set this as our zone. Meeting area. This whole big old space here. Except this is a new inn and tavern. Let's go into our details and change our goblets. Right now we have 20 population. We're just going to go ahead and say we want to have like 50 goblets in here. So every time we make some goblets, they'll just keep filling this up until we've got 50. 5 stored instruments, that's enough for now. I'm not going to set a tavern keeper or a performer quite yet, but fairly soon we'll want to be doing that as well. And we have our settings here. You'll see it says all visitors welcome. This means that we are open to anybody and everybody that wants to come and visit or drink here. This one here means that we can only allow citizens or people that have been staying with us for a long time. So if you had an entertainer, for instance, move into your inn and has been staying in one of the rooms there for a while, they will also be allowed to drink and be with your dwarves in the inn. This one here allows only your citizens. So only your dwarves or people that have lived with you will be allowed inside. We're going to leave this at citizens and long-term residents only for now. We don't really need any visitors coming at the moment, and we are still getting set up, so we don't really have anything fancy to show them. We don't have a very large population to entertain, so there's not much of a reason to allow outside visitors coming in. So now we finished that. Let's move up to here and start placing a still. And we want to have a kitchen. Just like that. And we're going to set storage areas. So this one here is going to be for drink. And this is the menu I was talking about when I said that you can set your storage or your stockpiles to very specific things. The stockpile we set upstairs, we just put on all. We just wanted to have everything thrown into one area, since we were going to basically be living directly next to it, and we were only using a couple of rooms. It just made more sense to keep everything condensed. However, now that we're down here and we're going to actually be stockpiling resources and producing things, we kind of want to have everything at least somewhat organized. We want to have two separate stockpiles in here, one for food and one for drink. So how do we do that? Well, if we come into here and you click on any individual tab, it's going to select every single option for that tab. So you'll notice we have food highlighted right now, but we want to have just drinks for this one. We don't want any actual edible food in there. So we'll go into custom when we have food highlighted. And this is every single thing under the category of food, basically, in the game. So we have your meats, your fishes, unprepared fish, eggs, all that stuff. That also includes our drinks right here. We only want to have drinks in this one. We don't want any food, right? So why don't we shut all of these off? You'll notice there's two separate categories here. This controls all of this list. This controls all of this list. The differences are, these are the specifics. These are the categories, basically. So, for instance, we're under meat right now. This category here, by shutting that off, just cancels all meat in total, every single kind. If we have this all highlighted and I want to come over here and say I only want to have, excuse me, aardvark meat, for instance, I can hit none on here, and then I can just click on aardvark meat. Now that is the only meat that will be allowed in that stockpile. So again, this side here is the specific types to narrow it down to only exactly what you want. This here is the overarching actual category of it. So this is all meat. These are the individual meats. We didn't want any food in here, so we're going to shut off all of these guys except for our drinks. You can also do this a much quicker way if you wanted to do just none and then just go all, just like so. There you go. That is all of your drinks. You have both plant and animal-based drinks all together. So we'll put our milk in there with our booze and everything else. You can see we can make bumblebee mead or regular mead from animal drink. And from plant drink, we'll have all of these guys. I know I said milk, but I was mistaken when I said that. That is actually part of like extracts and things like that. Those count as food, not drink. These are just boozes, basically. That's what we want in there. So now that that's all set, if we exit out of there, this stockpile now only does food. Technically, it's a food stockpile, but it only does the foods that we've allowed, which are only the alcoholic beverages. That is now just for drinks. We're also going to do the same thing directly above it, but this one is going to be for food. Oh, my bad. There. Just like that. We're going to go to food again, customize, and we're just going to hit these two specifically we're going to close out, because the rest of these we can actually store in here for the most part. There's a few things that we're not going to want stored in here. We'll put somewhere else, but... Alright, so for instance, seeds. I don't want my seeds stored in here. We're not going to be cooking with our seeds, and we're not going to be eating our seeds. So let's keep those out. Let's keep fat. We're not going to put that in there because we're actually going to have a soap making area where we keep all of our fat. I think that's pretty much all of what we really need. We're also not going to keep these miscellaneous liquids in here. We'll shut those off. We're going to have another area next to the soap maker where we keep our lye and things like that as well, so we don't really need those. But the rest of this stuff can all come in here. We can keep our unprepared meals, our prepared meals, meats, fishes, all that stuff, all there. And now we pretty much have a nice little basic inn and tavern setup. We've got a place for them to eat and drink. We've got a place for them to cook and brew our alcohol and our food and store it. Places for them to sing and dance, entertain themselves. Did we actually get an instrument last time? I feel like we might have gotten one, so let's check. We did not. Okay. Worth checking out. I don't think we have any access cabinets or anything yet either. Perfect. So, let's go ahead and come down here, finish putting the rest of our beds together. This will give every single one of our dwarves a bedroom now. Alright, I paused this again real quick. There's a couple of things that we need to know. First thing, you can label these guys as bedrooms right now, but without a door, they don't really count as a bedroom. So if we came in here and we just tried to like highlight, we'll just say like the square here, right? You want to do that? You can highlight it, but without this door here, it doesn't actually really count as a full-on bedroom. This is more like a independent dormitory almost. We can do a multiple paint and it'll actually tell us that if we highlight them all. 5 beds rejected, not enclosed. We're actually rejecting like 20 beds here, but some of them haven't been placed yet, so those don't count, etc., etc. Some are already also in use. So we need doors, basically, is what the point of that was. We need to get some doors on here so that these will count as bedrooms. So let's scroll our way back up, and let's click on our stone crafter and see how our doors are coming. Well, he's made the first one already, so we're getting started on that. That is good. We are halfway through our mugs, and we finished our other storages. We're going to go ahead and just make a handful of wooden barrels while those guys finish those other things, and some bins. This will be one of our exceptions to our not creating very many things with wood rule, just because the other guys are busy at the moment, so this will just buy us some excess storage space. Well, as you can see, winter has arrived and our surface water has frozen. Fortunately, we don't really need the water right now. We have plenty of booze, so they're not going to be concerned, and we don't have any injured dwarves or a hospital, which is another area that requires water. Dwarven children can use water. So that it is important, but right now we don't need it. And this is just another reason while moving everything inside. Oh, we lost an alpaca. That's okay. Anyways, another one of the reasons why we move everything inside the mountain is because we can avoid this. We don't have to worry about the water freezing if we're way down in the depths of the mountain. It will not freeze there. Ooh, we have 2 squares of water open that haven't frozen yet so far. And that's it. So let's let these guys get back to it so we can continue working our way back into the mountain. We can get away from the surface and stop having to deal with frozen water and rain, all kinds of other things that dwarves don't care for. I'm going to have somebody come out here and harvest a little bit of plants because it's been a while since we did that. Now, we should have at least a couple of doors. So let's start sealing up some bedrooms here. Ooh, somebody got an obsidian door. Lucky. It's a nice door. There. So there's 6 bedrooms, technically. Once they put these doors on, you'll see I'll be able to come down here. Oh, it's only 5 doors. My bad. I can't count. Ooh, some more masterpieces. 3 mugs, that's cool. 15 thrones are done. We got a bard visiting. And brew drink. Yeah, we don't have any food storage right now. That's why we're crafting some barrels and bins. We needed some extra storage. Cobaltite. That's a cool door too. And now if we came back in here and we clicked on bedroom and multi, if we just highlighted these ones that have doors on them actually already, like so, it'll actually allow us to set 6 bedrooms. If we hit done, bam, there is now 6 individual bedrooms there. We really need a farmer to start taking care of our animals, but right now we haven't really needed them. Oh no, one of our miners has been found drowned. What happened? I don't know how he fell in there. That is very unusual. They don't normally just walk themselves into a river to drown, but that kind of looks like what happened here. Poor guy. Well, I guess this can be a learning case, because one thing you do need to worry about is A, trying to get his body back. Sometimes you just can't. You can't get to their bodies, they're too far away. And B, you will need to bury them, or they will be upset. We don't have a burial place set up yet, or anything to put them in, a coffin or anything like that. So we don't have enough of this mined out yet for me to really have a spot picked out for that. I wasn't prepared for this. We're going to go back up to the surface, and I'm just going to mine out a little room right over here. We'll just do like 6 by 6. Good enough. There. We're going to make this into a little like mausoleum for that dwarf for now. Well, I was just not ready for that to happen. Oh, there's cavern floor in here. So when you find this kind of thing, this cavern floor, this is actually what you can plant on. We can use this to plant our crops like right in this room. It won't expand, obviously, or spread, but whenever you see a cavern floor like that, know that you can use that for planting. If we like mined out a whole room up here and we happen to have like a square area of this, I could use that to actually move our crops inside. We need now to make a coffin. Let's see. Let's add a task. We're going to do a coffin, and we'll make a slab too. Now, there is a difference between these two here. A coffin, if you recover the body, which I don't know if we'll be able to get his since it is in 7 of 7 water. If you recover the body, you can use a coffin. You just put him in that, set the coffin down in here, and problem solved. If you can't get the body, you will need to have a slab built, and you'll have to engrave that dwarf or the dead dwarf's name onto that slab before placing it. If you do that, it will not allow them to haunt you. If we don't do anything with this guy for long enough, his ghost will start roaming around, and it'll make all of our other dwarves upset. He won't go away until we have that engraved slab and place it down. If we get the body, put him in the coffin, we do not need to worry about that. But if his body is unobtainable, then you will need a slab, and you will have to encarve whoever the dead dwarf is that you're trying to memorialize. That being said, let's let these guys go and do their thing. We're going to let this guy finish up both of those, the coffin and the slab, and I'll go ahead and probably engrave a slab and put it down just in case we cannot get him. Like I said, with him being at the bottom of the water and it being 7 of 7, I'm concerned any dwarves that attempt to recover him will likely also drown. They are done. Okay, so now if we add another task, you'll see we now have an engraved memorial slab. If we click on that, you'll be able to choose from a list of dead dwarves. Right now, we only have one, and you'll note it says not memorialized, no slabs engraved. We have a slab. By clicking this, they will now engrave it, which means he will now be memorialized as soon as we place the slab down. So we're going to let them do their thing, finish that off quick. Once he finishes engraving that, we'll put the slab down. That'll prevent any ghost activities if we cannot get his body back. I should also, since we're pretty much done with this setup down here now, be expanding this so we can have our miners doing this while we're focused on what's going on up there. We want to come to here. Let's block this, and we'll block that. That'll give us these 3 crafting areas ready to go, which is perfect because we want a stone crafter. This will be our carpenter, and this will be our gem, or jeweler. Those 3 are fairly common. We're actually probably going to move our way up to here, now that I think about it. I'm going to place our craft dwarf here, and our mechanic over here, so we can build a couple of other new things too, including getting our drawbridge set up and all that other stuff. So we're going to go up to that point. We'll mine out all of these areas here for now, while these guys are doing their thing. And let me check and see if they're done. Not quite done with the engraving, but he's doing it right now. And there it is. So we now have an engraved slab. Let's go to here, furniture, slab, and pick a location. And now if you go into here and click this little arrow, it'll show you all of your gabbro slabs, or all the slabs that are of that kind. And then this will show you if they're standard slabs, or like in this instance, we have one that is engraved, so Gabbro's Memorial to Zuglar to Nachman. We click that, and now that slab will be the engraved one. That will solve that problem for us. And I think this would be a good spot to wrap up for this episode. What I will do is, while I'm off camera, I will finish clearing out all of this area here, getting all of this mined, at least like the bedrooms, and getting the crafting stations and stuff done. And then I'll go ahead and pick up next episode once this is finished, and we'll actually start building the fortress itself, and we'll start working our way down towards the cavern layer. So I would like to thank everybody that watched all the way through this. Let me know if it was helpful to you. If there's anything that I have missed so far that you're curious about, feel free to leave a comment down below. I read through them all the time. I'll go ahead and get that answered. Let me know if this mouse cursor is large enough. I know I made it a little bit bigger last episode. I had somebody comment about how it was hard to keep track of it. If it's not large enough, I can always make it larger. And yeah, otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, I will see you in the next one.